relatively busy with the holiday stuff, but has not been, as hectic as the previous couple of months. We've had a lot of activity as a result of the storm in this community, and the amount of volunteer efforts that came out of the Greenpoint and Williamsburg community was remarkable, really remarkable, and the amount of goodwill and supplies and food. The Greenpoint Reformed Church is still bringing food down to the Rockaways and to Staten Island as we speak. It's really just a remarkable effort. And just speaking really quickly to the homelessness question that you had asked before, there's a new small program that's being run out of the Greenpoint Reformed Church on Milton Street. My office has gotten some complaints about from neighbors on Milton Street, and so I just want to make sure that everyone knows what's going on there. It's 10 beds that are operating every night, and they are being overseen by professional staff that is working out of an organization called Common Ground. Common Ground runs the Street to Home program that runs out of North 6th Street, and they're the organization that my office has been working with since I came into office 3 years ago on making sure that the homeless individuals in Greenpoint are identified, that they're tracked, that they're that we know what's going on with them, that they have options, and most importantly that we know who they are. Now, I have had strong disagreements with the Department of Homeless Services since I came into office about their efforts to take care of the individuals in Greenpoint, and that was only exacerbated by the shelter at 400 McGinnis, which is an assessment center, which means that it's not taking individuals from the neighborhood, it's taking individuals from throughout the city, and then identifying their problems, assessing their problems, and then putting them onto semi-permanent housing. So, what I was hoping for, and what we've got now, is a small program at least that is dedicated to the guys that are in our neighborhood that are truly homeless, that don't have anywhere to go at night, particularly in the cold weather. It's really important. St. Anthony's for years has taken in these individuals on really cold nights. Now they have somewhere to go consistently every single night. Again, it's being overseen by professional staff, so it's not as if the guys are coming in and out without any supervision. So we have gotten complaints, but I want to make sure that we're all working collectively with the neighborhood, with individuals that have concerns, and with Pastor Ann and Jen at Greenpoint Reformed Church, because they're the ones that are providing the space. It wasn't, I know that there was been some confusion, maybe some misinformation that's going out there. This wasn't Pastor Ann and Jen's idea. They came forward with offering of the space, but really this came from the community going back several years. In fact, this was actually the year that we were able to get a commitment to get it funded. And actually it's pretty unusual. The city does not normally do this. Normally when there's a shelter at a church, it's entirely volunteer driven, and there's no real compensation for staff. This is actually a real unique situation where there's actually staff that's being paid for by the city, and so that's a good thing.
But excuse me, just to say something. I don't know how true this is, but I walk the avenue a lot, and there are men that come up to me, "Hi Mama, could you give me $3? I want to buy a breakfast," and somebody else does the same thing, and 3 people have been complaining. I just ignore them. Is it true that they come from jails from Manhattan and they are put into these shelters? This is what I'm hearing. I don't know how true it is. I don't know about your situation where they have the beds, but this is They come from Manhattan.
Well, okay, so the 10 beds that are at the Greenpoint Reformed Church, those are local guys.
Yes, right, but I'm
But what you're talking about could very well be.
Is that the homeless place way up on whatever it is? I don't know where. I'm from Angerd Avenue, so I don't know much. But it's another housing for these people that are coming in from Manhattan.
Well,
they were going around asking people for. They stand on the corner.
Well, the thing about the assessment center, and this was our concern going back a couple of years, is that that's 200 beds, which is. And since it's an assessment center, there's not a long time that individuals are staying there. It's from probably around 5 weeks, maybe a little bit more.
But they go around bothering people, and I understand when they come out of, let's say it is prison or whatever it is, they give them a certain amount of money, and they still continue to ask for money. This is what I'm told. I don't know how true it is.
Well, for that space, I'm not quite sure if that's what's happening there, because but those are individuals that are coming into the shelter system through an intake center anywhere in New York City, and the assessment is going on McGinnis Boulevard and Clay Street. Now there is also the Greenpoint Hotel, which is 1155 and 66 Clay. It's two separate buildings. That's a very serious concern. I don't know if anyone lives in Northern Greenpoint, right around there. I went into the building last month, and I have very serious concerns about the landlord of that building and what he's allowing to go on there, because it's a somewhat complicated situation. There's two separate buildings. One he was running as a 3/4 house, which is kind of like a halfway house, but was getting funding through the state Medicaid program, and it was run by an organization called CIS. CIS lost their license by the state and packed up and kind of dissolved and maybe popped up someplace else under a separate name. But individuals that were living there at the time have been working with an organization called MFY, which provides them legal services, and they are claiming that they have a right to stay there as tenants. And the landlord doesn't like that, and so as a result, he hasn't been providing essential services. And so it's not. It has been a bad situation over there. Inspector Hurst and I have discussed it numerous times.
Many times we've spoken about 66.
It's not a good. I mean, if you go, the door's open. The landlord has removed the lock from the door, so anyone can go in and out. And there's drugs in the building. There's broken windows. There's not working toilets. There's not working showers. There's no sanitation whatsoever. It's a bad situation there. And so, I had a very hostile meeting with the building owner.
And he still doesn't do anything. This idiot. He doesn't do anything.
No. He only cares about one thing, and that's money.
That's it.
So he's been a very bad building owner. Very bad building.
Is there a hotel there also? Like an
Well,
SRO or?
It's on the Manhattan Avenue side, there is an SRO, and that's owned by the same owner, but is a separate building, and that it's not nearly as bad. They had their boiler went out after the storm, but it was not nearly as bad.
The stories you read about the New Jersey halfway houses can apply to this one.
It's bad. And then just lastly, I just want to encourage everyone, if you know anyone in the Greenpoint community that had any flooding during the storm, because the storm came all the way up and flooded out a lot of basements between the water and Franklin Street, and then over
the post office got it too on Mesro.
Over by the post office, and then down on the other side of McGinnis Boulevard. If anyone knows of anyone that had flooding damage, please encourage them to do a FEMA application, because they're entitled to a grant through FEMA to cover some of those costs. And so I just want to encourage everybody to do that, 'cause in the last count, FEMA has not gotten a lot of applications out of Greenpoint, not nearly as many as the homes that were flooded. So if you know of anybody, if your neighbors or your friends had any flooding, please encourage them to do a FEMA application, because they could be entitled to reimbursement.
Did they fix your car?
I had insurance.
All right, well, thank you all very much. Happy New Year, and we'll look forward to working with you throughout the year. Thanks.
Thank you, Steve.